Hey friends, so glad you could be with me again this week for this week's tip. And we're going to visit a commercial hops farm in Kent, which is the southeast of England, for this week's hops variety. Max Raphael here from Hops World. Tip number 126. Whitbread Golding variety. Let's do it. So, Whitbread Golding variety. It's actually a bittering and an aromatic hops. Can be used throughout the boil. The USDA gave it a number 21668, and the International Hops Growers Conference has a code WGV. This hops is also known as WGV as a nickname for Whitbread Golding variety. Now, this hops is actually thought to be more of a Fuggle descendancy than an actual Golding heritage, just to keep that in mind. But that's kind of common between the Goldings and the Fuggles. There's a little bit of mixture there. But originally known as code number 1147, this hops, the first plant was created in 1911, an antique variety, by Edward Albert White at his farm in Beltreg in Kent, England. Edward apparently worked with Professor Stanley Salmon, E.S. Salmon, the famous godfather of hops breeding in England and really in the world. He started the first breeding program at Y College in Kent, England, right near Edward's farm. Imagine, this variety was created 8 years prior to the famous Brewer's Gold, but bam! It was an open pollination of a variety, a female variety, Brewer's Bates. By open pollination means that they don't know exactly what the male was, but it's thought that possibly the male was a United States male, because at that time they already started using US males in their breeding program. Now, Brewer's Bates, the mother, female, I cannot find anything on that variety, literally, other than it was used by Professor Salmon in his breeding program, and it's the mother of WGV. That's all I can find. If anybody knows anything about that variety, please put a link or a little note below, okay? So originally called White's Golding, this hops had its name changed because in 1920, Edward White retired and he sold his farm to the Messrs. Whitbread Company. A lot of publications call it the Whitbread Brewing Company. Apparently it was a brewery. But upon Mr. White's retirement, they bought the farm and changed the name to Whitbread's Golding, which it's still sometimes called today, but mostly it's called Whitbread Golding variety. Now, there was a huge breakthrough in 1932 when they discovered that this hops actually has very high resistance to vermicular wilt, which was a huge problem in that time in England. And then in 1953, when it was actually made public for anyone to grow, its acreage grew exponentially because of its resistance to this vermicular wilt and compared to the other Golding and Fuggle varieties that were being grown at the time. So this variety can be used throughout the brew, and if used early, you can get definitely mild bitterness, nice bitterness, and in the mid brew, you're gonna get a little bit more of the European and fruitiness, and at the end of the boil, if you use for aroma, you're definitely gonna get them earthy, herbal, and floral flavors and aromas. Now, let's talk about the chemistry of WGV. Alpha acids from 6 to 7% typically, betas between 2.5 and 3.5%, oils 0.8 to 1.2 milliliters per 100 grams. As far as flavors, as I said, the European flavors, English flavors, earthy, floral, fruity, a little bit herbal. Substitutes, if you can't find this variety, I would try for another Fuggle or a Golding, and especially East Kent Golding. The types of beers that you can use. Listen, if you go into a pub, which there's tons of them in England, and ask for a draft beer, chances are you're going to get an ale made with this variety. So as far as beers that you can make using this variety, I'd say ales, even pale ales, or bitter, or any of the English type beers. Production, not so great at 1,300 to 1,400 pounds per acre. And storage capacity, or HSI, hop storage index, retains 66% alpha acids after 6 months at 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, typical planting or spacing your plants, if you're going to plant this variety, interesting enough, in England, folks, the rows are 2 meters wide. Yes, 6 feet, 6 inches. Unbelievable when I went there. They're only 4 meters high, or 5 meters in some of the fields, but they use a very narrow tractor, a narrow wagon. They only run 1 string per plant because the plants don't give that much. They're not the big, robust Cascade and Columbus of the U.S. So they put their rows as wide as their tractor. I put 6 feet 6 to 10 feet because the minimum for our tractor, realistically, is about 10 feet, okay? So enough talking about this variety. Let's see this plant in a real commercial hops farm in the southeast of England, in the town of really countryside, Ashford in Kent, England. Hey friends, glad you could be with me today here in Kent, England at Buckman Green Farms, owned by my friend Mark Batt. Yes, Kent, England. And the variety we're going to show you this week is Whitbread Golding variety. Well, a little bit hard to remember, but it's WGV, as everybody calls it, the Whitman Golding variety. The first time I've seen this actually growing. The cones are a little bit bigger than other Goldings that I've seen typically, but they definitely grow in a little cascading manner. You can see in the picture of one of the arms, similar to our pubescent. Nice little round, tightly compact cones, but definitely bigger than the other Goldings that I've seen lately in Belgium and here in England. So I open up one of the cones full of lupulin, and the other thing I just saw, a seed. Yes, folks, here in England, they intentionally grow seeded hops. Yes, they plant, and I'll show you a few. There's some male plants here in the hop yard spread throughout, so intentionally to put seeds in their hops. I've heard of that. I thought it was a legend. I couldn't believe it was real because in Belgium they're like, males, no males. In America, no males, no males. But here in England, they love their males. They intentionally plant male plants throughout their hop yard. The Whitman Golding variety, an old ancient aroma hops from England. We'll show you the plant from the bottom all the way up to the top. So here is the plant at the ground. As you can see, they did a V trellis, although this trellis is really weird because they go against the wires, but the stems are definitely thicker than most and good striping, almost zebra-like, and the plants down the row. Real quick, I'll show you, they already harvested a couple acres here, and they have a few rows left, and I got here just in time. But you can see these plants at the top are typical of Goldings. Lots and lots of cones, but bam, and definitely bigger than most of the Goldings that I've seen in the past. Other varieties. Whitman Golding variety, an ancient variety from England. And before I go, I need to thank my friend Mark Batt for allowing me to visit his farm. His farm is a small family-owned farm. They have high trellis and short trellis hops. Wait till you see the video I made of the short trellis hops. You'll be amazed. And for those of you who want some real good quality hops, buy some English hops today. Thanks again, Mark. Here's a short little video of his small operation. Cheers to life. So what'd you think, folks? A real commercial hops farm in England, growing a variety that's been grown for over 100 years and still going strong. Thanks for being with me. I hope you loved our tip this week. Stay tuned next week because we're going to make a jump, a little flight over to the heart of Europe in Hallertau, Germany, and talk about another great hops variety. So stay tuned for that one. If you liked, put a thumbs up. Just click on that little thumbs button, folks. Give a little help, support for our channel. I appreciate it. Cheers to life.